Well, hello, hello. We are experimenting with some playing cards today. We're going to weather some cards, coffee dye them, looking for a particular finish on these. I want them to be very antique looking by the end of it. So, what I'm doing now is I am knocking back that shine on the front of the page with a little piece of sandpaper. These will coffee dye just fine if you don't knock back the shine. But if you have intentions of gluing things to the front of these, I do recommend that you sand that a little bit to give the glue something to stick to. Okay, so we're going to pull some bits out, and there's my little treasure trove of bits. We're just going to randomly glue some things to the front of the cards. Now, I purposely am going to avoid their faces just because of the particular cards that these are, and I want to have their faces be showcased. But it is fun if you're using just the standard numbered cards to add some movement and stuff and glue bits to the middle. Okay, everything's dry. Now we're going to basically pull at those little bits and bobs, and it's just going to kind of shred those pieces off the card, give you a little rough finish. Anything that wasn't glued down should come off, and you can do this as long as, as many times as you get the desired look that you're going for. So in the experiment that we're going to do with this, I'm trying to decide what finish that I want that will achieve the look that I want. So I'm going to do two one way, and then I'm going to take two that I'm going to experiment with. I think the two that I am going to put clear gesso on are going to be the winners. That's my theory on this. But I am going to experiment for people maybe who don't have those other pieces on what they could do and create a similar look. So the ones on the right, I'm going to put some clear gesso on. This is some Dina Wakley clear gesso that I got on a box that I ordered. Works great. It'll give you a little bit of grit. It'll make things adhere better. It'll absorb the paint better, etc. We're going to apply that loosely. I used a palette knife just because it gave me some additional texture. You could do it with a paintbrush if you want a nice smooth look. Once we get all that on, we'll dry these because we want to be able them to be as dry as the other pieces before we apply coffee to them. And just remember that we're not doing anything to the back of these. We haven't sanded them. We've not put anything on them. So all four of the pieces will have just a plain back that still has the shiny plastic finish. The plastic finish does not carry over to the edge. These are still paper, so they're going to absorb some of the coffee on the edges too. That's the hope, that it darkens the edges. So we're going to dry these. I'm going to use my little heat gun to dry them. And then once we get them dry, we will get them into the coffee. So here we go. This is my Dollar Tree pan that has seen better days, but we keep using her. Getting her to lay flat is always a challenge. I might want to invest the other, what is it, $1.50 now that they are, or $1.25, and get a new one. But anyway, so I'm trying it with the pipette before I realized that was a stupid choice and that we could just go ahead and dunk these. Right? Work smarter, not harder. And this is just instant coffee and some hot water. So it's like 2 tablespoons of instant coffee and some hot, and like a half of a coffee cup of hot water, whatever that is, 8 ounces of water. And so we're dunking those are the ones that are not coated with gesso, and these are the ones that are. And then through most of this process, they don't look a whole lot different. And I will honestly tell you that I'm thinking, okay, maybe the extra steps aren't necessary. Let me get this off my hands real quick. And then we're going to dry these also. it's interesting how everything finishes up. I'm putting some little dots and stuff on them, just trying to create some more texture when I'm drying them. But it is interesting that the different products that we use, what you use, and how the final outcome is. And when you're doing mixed media, trying to decide, trying to look at something, and I like to try to recreate things that I see online. I'll should put it out that way, just out of curiosity. It's kind of been my path to learning mixed media. I'm not formally trained. I don't, I have not gone to art school, etc. Obviously, and all I'm doing is looking at something and thinking, what do I have, and how can I recreate that? And then once you start understanding what different products do, and you experiment and play a little mad scientist every once in a while, you can tend to look at things and decide what needs to be done, or what products that you have that you can use to achieve something somewhere. It's fun to look at something you really love and try to recreate it. Maybe it's not the perfect recreation, but at the end of the day, you'll learn something in trying to do that. And this I did learn. So we put some little dots on there just to, again, create some texture and some aging on it. And like I said, at this point, without getting really close up on them, there's not a whole lot of difference. And I'm questioning myself at this point and wondering if I really know what the hell I'm doing. But anyway, though, they're still fun. I still love the bunny ears on the guy on the left. That was not on purpose, but once you see it, you won't miss it. So we're going to get these dry. And then we will move on to inking them. The more I look at that pan, the more I realize it needs to go in the trash. So anyway, excuse me, we're kind of checking stuff out. And we're going to go ahead and ink them because I think that, again, like I said earlier, I want to showcase the faces. So this will, give you a little more darkening. You can use whatever ink color you want to. I'm using ground espresso, however you say that. I can't get it right. Use the ground espresso to darken those up a little bit. And I'm avoiding, again, their faces. And that's just because I'm doing these cards. If you were doing a card that did not have something featured on it, you could go crazy and ink the whole front, like lay it down flat and go over the whole front of it. It'll give you a deeper coloring. You could use a couple different colors of ink to really bring out some texture and stuff. But we are just doing the edges and towards the bottom, just to kind of leave a bright area around the person's head. And of course, while I'm working with these, I'm looking, right? Like, what is the difference? What am I seeing as the difference? There's that pause when I'm handling them to really see what the difference is with the different applications. Okay, here we are. And so that's going to be just coffee dyed. He's going to be a gesso. He's going to be a gesso and coffee dyed. Right? I don't know if you can see it yet, but there's a very clear distinction in the texture. The gesso one is more matte. It's more blended. Yeah, that's my pick. It is a better overall look. It's not the end of the world. They both look good. But there is a definite difference. Me examining each one of them. The clear gesso fills in the cracks. You'll see a difference in the close-up. So these are the gesso pieces. You can see the blending and the coffee dye on it are a little more smooth. And then here are the pieces that we just dunked in the coffee after sanding. The coffee just kind of sunk down into the sanding lines, created a lot more texture and lines. So I'm not in love with that look, but overall it's not horrible. So that is the end result. I think gesso is the winner. And for fun, I thought I would share with you his little bunny ears. How fun. See you later.